This poster right here represents one of the most stressful seasons of my life, applying to dental school. Every color, every note, every state on this map tells a story. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how I organized my entire dental school application process. Hey y'all, thanks for watching this video. Now, I know I'm in a different location than where I was at in the beginning of this film. When I originally shot the footage, I was in the student lounge inside of DCG, but I figured, hey, finals are done, got past D1 by the grace of God, and I'm like, okay, why not make this film in my apartment, especially in a room that's very luminous, and I can really have better lighting than being in the student lounge. So as you all see, this is my vision that I had for myself of trying to figure out how do I apply to dental school. This was the vision that was in my head, but I created the visual and brought it to life. And essentially the purpose of this video is for you to understand that you can get inside the dental school of your heart's desire in the continental United States of America, but you got to have a strategy. So often between the months of, well, really year around, but emotions are heightened between the months of May all the way to December. I'm getting tired of hearing people saying, oh, it's competitive, it's competitive, it's competitive. Yes, it's a fact. But at the same time, if you're not trying to help me out, please move out my way. Okay. I clearly I wear glasses, but my hearing is compensating for my lack thereof of vision. So if you can't pour life into me, just move out my way and let me figure out how do I get inside a school here in the continental US of A. And that's the purpose of this video. What is your strategy? What is your strategy of trying to get inside the dental school that your heart's desires? Because I promise you, if you come up with an effective strategy, you'll get accepted. Heck, I did. And that's the purpose of this video in which I'm about to dissect. Let's get into it. So, right out the gate, continental United States of America. What I did initially back in the day, 2023, when I was trying to figure out what dental school do I want to attend, I said, okay, let me go to Google, type in United States map of the USA. I printed out, went to FedEx on at the corner of North Druid Hills, Claremont Road, right by Druid Hills High School. I went there. The gentleman was like, hey, how big do you want it? I forgot the dimensions of this map, but long story short, it took him roughly an hour, blew it up. Then I went to Family Dollar, got me a white poster board, and I wrote, let's have some fun this time around, cut out that map of the United States and glued it on this white poster board because I said, you know what? I just want to have fun this time around. Applying to dental school shouldn't be stressful. It should be fun. At least that's how it was for me because I just said, you put in all this hard work in undergrad, or for some of you all who are doing undergrad slash DDS program, any specialty program. The point is you worked your butt off to apply to dental school. So instead of stressing out, why not make it therapeutic? And that's how I approach the situation. So as you clearly see, the majority of the states are colored in gray. Now, there are some states that are colored in yellow, and those states represent the states where I applied to, but I was deemed an out of state applicant, and I didn't know if they were going to be what is it, OOS out of state? Yeah, OOS friendly. And I just said, okay, if I'm forced to go out of the state of Georgia, because yes, DCG is competitive, trying to get accepted, I said, let me look at schools to where I'm competitive enough. This is the kicker. So in the year of 2023, I was calling schools, attending conferences, and setting up meetings with the dean of admissions inside these schools because this is where people mess up. I understand people deal with different challenges and things in life, but they wait till the year that they are applying, and more importantly, they wait when the application process opens up before they get adequate feedback. For me, I did it a whole year in advance because once that application opens up, the deans at all these schools in America are going to be tight-lipped. They cannot help you because that would be an unfair advantage. So for me, I said, let me be proactive. And in 2023, again, like I said, I had these meetings, I made phone calls, I attended various prominent meetings, like Hinman meeting was one, and a few others. Impressions Day is another that really helped. So I was able to get all the information I needed to know how do I move come 2024 effectively, how to apply and maneuver through the system effectively so that I wouldn't be stressed out in this process. So the schools that I applied to out of state: University of Florida, ATSU in Arizona, Creighton in Nebraska. I was looking at Ohio and Kentucky. However, just due to finances, because that's another thing, applying to dental school is very expensive. I just didn't have the funds. Um, I just didn't, honestly. I didn't have the funds to include Kentucky or Iowa. But the deans there, and especially Iowa, they were really rooting for me. They was like, come on and apply. You can visit. You sound like a really good guy, but I didn't have the funds there. And then New York and Massachusetts, I applied to the dental schools there. Orange was also OOS, out of state, out of state. I was looking at attending Meharry in Tennessee because it's an HBCU, and I said, okay, it would be great to attend an HBCU. When I was younger, I really did like watching a show, A Different World, and seeing all the characters and pursuing their heart's desires and with their major or whatnot. And I was like, dang, I wanted to attend an HBCU in undergrad, which was Morehouse, but life dealt me a hand to where I was unable to be able to afford to attend Morehouse. Don't get me wrong, I'm blessed and thankful to have been able to do my undergraduate studies. Well, I started at West Georgia, shout out to them, but I finished at UGA and came out with 2 degrees. I'm always blessed and thankful and appreciative for that, but it would have been nice to have been able to attend at HBCU. But um, so that's why that state was orange. And then clearly the state of Georgia is red, because if I could stay inside the state of Georgia, that in-state tuition, heck yeah, it matters. And let's be absolutely clear, now that the big beautiful bill has passed, you got to be mindful of where whatever school you apply in America. So with that being said, once again, I applied to Florida, I applied to ATSU in Arizona, Creighton, Meharry, DCG, Toro in New York, and then Tufts in Boston. Okay, now that we got the 7 players out on the field, now I had to figure out, how do I establish a connection with these people? As I mentioned earlier in the video, I had to get to work. I started attending meetings, whether I actually visited the campus in person to talk to that dean, or I attended Impressions Day, and or talk with the dean, Impressions Day, or I met them at the Hinman Dental meeting. So for Toro, Margarita Diaz, I had a meeting with her. I spoke with her one-on-one with Toro. She was nice. She was great. Honestly, she told me what I need to do to be a competitive candidate, went to work. Then with Tufts, I was not able to attend Impressions Day, but I did reach out to one of the 2 guys that was in charge of Future DDS on YouTube. I was watching all their videos back in the day, and one of the good dudes, he followed up with me. I think it's Terrell. I know the one with the locks. He reached out to me and was giving me advice on what I need to do to stand out in the application process. DCG, I had a school. I had a history with this school. Excuse me. I had a history with this school. So yeah, I saw them at Hinman. Hinman. I was reaching out to people via Instagram, Facebook. My friends went here. No need to elaborate. Meharry, I went to Impressions Day in 2023, and I was networking with individuals there. And a Michelle Thompson, I was talking to her as well and remain in contact via email post Impressions Day. She gave me some tips and advice on how to apply to stand out in the application process. Next up, University of Florida, Mr. Abel Gilbert. That guy, I liked him. He was great. I had a phone call meeting with him, I want to say in 2022, I believe. But then I met him in person at the Hinman Dental meeting in 2023, and he was very professional. He was nice. I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit nervous about approaching Florida because I heard Florida, they run a tight ship, but they're very professional. But I don't know. I was just a little bit nervous about talking to that gentleman. And long story short, he ultimately interviewed me at the University of Florida. But either way, I established a rapport with him. Then with Arizona, I I don't think I called or emailed the dean. I will admit, or anybody on the admissions committee, I will admit, I honestly went into the blind with Arizona as well as Cretan. I didn't attend any impressions days. Um, but at the same time, I was just reaching out to students who attended school there. So once I did my homework, I figured out I had meetings with Toro, Tufts, DCG, Meharry, or Florida, or I met somebody there who was on the admissions committee in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They gave me advice, and I started to assemble my application where, and I had to think outside the box with doing this. I assembled my application around DCG, but I also had to look at the requirements, meaning volunteering, letters of recommendation, GPA, DAT scores, to ensure that, yeah, I'm gunning for DCG, but I also need to keep in mind, how do I cater to the other 6 schools as well? So when I was figuring out, okay, these are the 7 schools I'm applying to, let me input this information. Now I need to figure out, how am I going to pay for school? I was looking at the HBSP scholarship because, once again, on Future DDS, there was one of the 2 gentlemen interviewed a classmate of his, and she got the HBSP scholarship for, I believe, the Navy. And so I was looking into that, and I was gunning for the Army and the Navy. Excuse me, I was gunning for the Army and the Navy. The reason why there's an X on the Army, it's no shade. Initially, when I was working on the application, the recruiter was working with me. He was moving with alacrity. He was giving me all the necessary paperwork for me to fill out. However, at the same time, he just ghosted me. There was no more contact. I'm steadily sending emails. I'm calling, but there was never a follow up. So I said, okay, timing is of the essence, because applying for the HBSP scholarship runs parallel when applying for dental school. Now, the recruiter for the Navy, Chief Theo Copulus, he's Greek. Because I was like, what's the origin of your last name? He said, I'm Greek. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He was really great. He was nice. He was supportive. He was on it. He said, Wes, I need transcripts, I need your essays, I need letters of recommendation, and you will be doing the interviews. Also, you need to attend MEPS to be evaluated for your health. He was on it. He was great. He was a nice guy. But the thing that got me in the end with the Navy is that one of my science professors didn't submit the letter of recommendation in a timely manner, and my application was considered incomplete. Now, when I had the ball rolling at the time, when I had the ball rolling on the application for the Army and Navy, I also had to take into account, who are my key players for the letters of recommendation. So this is where things get gray. People are always like, who do I go to for letters of recommendation? I, can I have work experience? But I need a professor. I need a science professor. But I'm trying to figure this out. I made another video about letters of recommendation, so I'm not going to elaborate too much. But essentially, because my number one was DCG, I said, okay, in that category of letters recommendation, how can I cater to DCG while also looking at the other schools around America that I'm looking to apply to? So I said, okay, my strategy with DCG, they said we want a science and a dentist and 2 wild cards. But the other 6 schools said, yo, Wes, we need at least 2 science professors, 1 dentist, and then 1 wild card. So for me, my key players were my boss, who I worked for at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta before and during the pandemic. That solidified my wild card. I had a dentist who wrote me a letter of recommendation. All right, cool. I had a science professor from the University of Florida. Oh, I forgot that gentleman's name. It's Kyle something. Oh wow, he was a really nice guy. He just retired. They made a post about him on Instagram. He was a really good guy. He wrote a letter of recommendation for human anatomy, as well as human anatomy lecture and lab, and I had him for embryology. And then the only other science professor who could write me a letter of recommendation was Dr. Mark Byrne from Georgia State University. Great guy. Had him for parasitology, pharmacology, medical microbiology, and bacterial pathogenesis. So those were my key players while catering to DCG, but also the other 6 schools around America. So I said, okay, great. Got those letters of recommendation rolling. Interest statement, again, I made another video about my interest statement. I really wasn't too concerned about my interest statement because I had so many different people read my interest statement. All I had to do was just copy and paste. And again, as a friendly reminder, please, please, please be mindful of the characters. I think last time I checked, you're allotted only 45 to 4,600 characters, including spaces. Please keep that in mind. And last but not least, you need a strategy with the transcripts and ordering the transcripts because they have to go to the people in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Chi-Town, wherever you at in America. So for me, ATL, a lot of the schools that I attended was in the state of Georgia. Those transcripts need to be sent to the people in Illinois, but it takes time. So back in 2023, I attended a number of schools, right? And I went on each school's website. It was West Georgia, UGA, Florida. I took a college class via DeVry when I was in high school, Morehouse, and Georgia State. So those are 6 different schools I need to figure out from the time I hit submit and you all get my money, how long does it take for you to process and send the transcripts via mail or electronically? And more often than not, I select the electronic option. How long does it take you all to process and send it from the state of Georgia or Florida, whatever school in America, all the way up to Illinois? And on average, they said, oh, it takes 2 to 3 business days. So this is what I did with my transcript. If the magical date for, I forgot what the magical date was for when the application opened up, the soft launch in May of 2024. For the sake of this video, let's just say it was May 16th. So what I did was, if it was May 16th of 2024, May 12th, 11th, or 10th, what I did, I essentially ordered all my transcripts a few days before so that when the application opened up and when I was able to upload all my information, the people in Chicago, if not 2 or 3 days after that soft open, I know by a week after that soft launch of the application opening up, all my transcripts would have been in the portal. So that's the point I'm trying to make. Give yourself a few days to order those transcripts before so that it gets to the people in Chicago. They process that. And let's just say a few days or even a week into the soft open of your application, or soft launch of the dental school application, those transcripts will be there. And you not waiting to the last minute of, okay, well, let me order my transcripts at the end of May, early of June, and it still has to get to Chicago, get verified. They got to process that, blah blah blah. No, I was trying to make sure that when I hit submit, everything was sent to these schools. And literally June 6th, 7:59 p.m., though these 7 schools had everything from me except for my letter of recommendation from Georgia State, because that particular professor, he was dealing with a lot. Lord, he really was dealing with a lot of personal issues. But the schools, these 7 schools, they had 95% of my application. And the only thing that was missing was my letter of recommendation. And honestly, once I hit submit, I looked back on this chart and was like, wow, this was great. This was awesome. I was able to put a visual to what I was thinking and how I was feeling. And honestly, when I look at this map, I identify as an in-state student, but yet I was an out-of-state applicant to Florida, Creighton, Arizona, Turo, and Tufts. This was my thought process going into dental school and going into the dental school process in 2024. With the out of state schools that I applied to, I just said, I don't care what somebody in California is doing or what somebody in Wyoming is doing, what somebody in Maine, Indiana, Texas, Mississippi. I just don't care. Wes is going to focus on himself. I spoke to these individuals a few months in advance, and they told me directly what I need to do to work on my laundry list and clean it up. They told me what I need to do to be as competitive as possible. And then same thing with DCG. Now, with DCG, I had the same thought process, but emotions was a little bit more heightened because everybody is gunning for DCG. I just said, with them, and because I have a history with this school, I just said, I don't care if you from Chamblee, Dunwoody, Tucker, Carrollton, Austell, Watkinsville, Athens, St. Simons, Jekyll Island, LaGrange, Somerville, Rome, Ringgold, Macon, Barry. I said, I don't care. I said, Wes is just solely focusing on himself because just like the other 6 schools, the dean of admissions here, y'all already know, Miss Perry, she told me what I needed to do to get inside the school. So I focused on myself, went to work, and here I am. I'm a rising D2 at freaking DCG. So sometimes in this application process, yes, keep it in the back of your mind that there's somebody, whatever state you reside in, there's somebody in your state that's putting in the same amount of work as you to get accepted in the school that you're gunning for. And if you're out of state, there's somebody in America that's gunning for a seat at the school you're applying to. But at the same time, you just got to focus on yourself and ignore the noise. And the only other thing that I could say is that at least try to enjoy the process. I know when I was shadowing one of the dentists, his hygiene assistant was like, Wes, I'm very proud of you and congratulations for at least applying to dental school because I didn't even make it that far. And I asked her, I was like, what happened? What do you mean you didn't make it that far? What, if you don't mind disclosing to me, what happened? She said, I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm from Africa. I forgot what country. She said, I took all the OCHEMs, the physics, the anatomies, micro, all the prereqs, as well as recommended classes these schools are telling you or suggesting or encouraging you to take. There we go. She just said, I took all of that. I bought the materials for the DAT. I got all the way to my examination date and I had a anxiety attack. And I said, I can't do this. And I will just be a hygienist. I was like, whoa, what? She said, yes, I got all the way to taking the DAT and, well, getting ready to take the DAT, and I had anxiety attack. I couldn't do it. So after hearing her testimony, I just said, wow, not only did I take the DAT, but I also found, I guess, the courage to even apply to dental school. And it was fun creating this. I don't know what you need to do to make the process less stressful, but figure out what works best for you. And another thing is that's equally important, once you figure out the players who's writing your letter of recommendation, the interest statement, the transcripts, the scholarships you're going to apply to, the schools that you're looking to apply to, I would say this because it does not get talked about enough because people are so stressed out and eager to apply to dental school. Y'all need to be thinking ahead. So once I submitted my application back on June 6th, my next focus was like, okay, I done hit submit. I can walk away. I can live my life a little bit. But now I got to figure out how do I come up with the money to figure out how am I going to get to Arizona? How am I going to get to Florida, Nebraska, Tennessee? New York or Boston, Massachusetts, I was Googling flights. I was figuring out, okay, do y'all have a rewards program to reduce these flights? I was looking at the holiday to see if they had a Holiday Inn. And yes, that really saved me because I was able to get my bearings together financially so that not only not only would I not be stressed out trying to get to those destinations, but I could enjoy of okay, this is what the scenery looks like in Florida. This is what it looks like in Arizona. I can really enjoy the experience. And I highly recommend that you all hit up the rewards program because when I went to Florida, I stayed in the hotel. It was a Holiday Inn right across the street from the main entrance of Florida, next door to a Publix. And that only costed me for, I think, one night. Oh, it was 2 nights I stayed in Florida. That only costed me $55. I used the rewards program with Holiday Inn. Shout out to Holiday Inn. I love y'all. They took great care of me, and I was like, cool. So I would begin to budget for the flights, the lodging, the food, maybe gas. If you want a rental car, that's another thing. You need to take that into account. Or if you want to explore the city while you're in whatever part of America to just figure out what restaurants are great. Also, another thing that I did do once I got past calculating how much it would cost me to travel to these schools around America, I also went back to the website and was at, well, first of all, let me backtrack. While I was at these schools, I was asking them how much does it cost to solidify my seat if God willing I got accepted into the school, how much would it be cost how much would it cost for me to solidify my seat at these schools? DCG said it's going to be $500. I said, okay, but in the event I don't get accepted into DCG, what about these other schools? And I knew it was, if not at 1,000, greater than 1,000 at these other schools. So now that, okay, I done submitted, I created my strategy, I done applied early in the application process. Now I'm trying to figure out what is the numbers or number um, that I need to have in the back of my mind to figure out how much is it going to cost for me to travel to these places comfortably. Should I get an interview at these schools? And then once I got that number, now I need to figure out what is the number or numbers essentially that these schools are looking from me for as a dollar amount to solidify my seat. Because once again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's very competitive trying to get inside dental school, and you don't want it to be where you get to the end of the rainbow and these schools are like, hey, you're accepted, you're accepted, you're accepted, run us our money, and you like, oh crap, i I don't have the 500 or 1,000 or 1,500, 2,000, whatever that dollar amount is at the school that you're looking to apply. You don't want to get all the way to the end and you're just like, I don't have it. And these schools gonna be like, okay, we're gonna hit up that wait list because there's somebody on that wait list that have that dollar amount. Debit, credit, electronic check, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Pay, whatever, they have it, and you don't want to be that individual in which you don't have it, and you get taken off or eliminated from the process or removed, or better yet, your acceptance is revoked. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, so as a whole, as I look at this map, I look back on, wow, what I created, and it just seemed like just yesterday I was working on this project, and now I'm a rising D2. So I understand some of you all have already applied to dental school right now in the application process, but for those of you who are still trying to figure out what is a good strategy that I can come up with, or any future applicants who are looking to apply to dental school, you're trying to figure out how can I get my vision down onto paper or create a visual representation? Maybe this might help. I know one of my classmates in my class, he said he did something similar, but he did it via Excel. Whatever floats your boat. I'm a visual learner. I'm like, nah, I need color. I had to take it back like I'm in elementary school. Nope, I need a marker. I need some scissors. I need some glue. And I said, yeah, like the title of my poster says, let's have some fun this time around. So, with that being said, as always, I want to say thank you all for watching. More and more you all are hitting me up um, via Instagram, Facebook, or if I'm just in the store in passing and I strike a conversation. Just the other day, I was inside the school thinking about getting ready to shadow, and I met a pre-dent and we spoke, and he's like, hey, can you give me some words of encouragement? So I really do thank you all for reaching out. I just remember what it was like for me in the application process of what it was like being a pre-dent and trying to apply. So that's great. These videos are resonating with you all. And even though I'm a rising D2, that doesn't mean I forgot what it was like being a pre-dent. So, on that note, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching wherever you are at in the world. Just thank you so much for your support. And for those who are applying this cycle, I wish you all the best. Please continue to look at your email because these schools are going to be sending those emails out for invitations for an interview when you least expect it. And good luck in the application process. Cheers.